Good evening, YouTube, or morning. It's about 11:45 a.m., so I'll be morning here shortly. I'm gonna shoot this video for you guys. I finally have got a argon bottle. I was able to get it while I had some free time over my Christmas break with work, but back to work now. Got to play around with it a little bit. So I kind of wanted to give you guys my overview of this Harbor Freight Titanium 200 TIG welder, well, multi-process welder, but this time the TIG side. We've done the stick side and the flux-core side. I plan to get a CO2 bottle, CO2 and argon bottle, probably in another month or so. Mostly just going to be using the TIG here for a little bit. I got a test I need to take here soon, and I have on TIG pipe, and I haven't ran TIG pipe in a while, so I'm going to be messing with that for a while, getting everything dialed in to get my comfort back on that, because I haven't welded pipe in probably almost 10 years now. So we got our argon bottle over here. We still got our drill press as a stand. I've got something drawn up in my modeling software, so I was able to do it over the break. Hopefully we can get that going here soon. So guys are probably asked, this is a 150 cubic feet bottle. Got a safety wire there to the purlin for you guys that want to ask about that. So the price of the bottle is $240. Free fill up on the first go around. Thereafter, $35 Phillips. So I own the tank. It's not leased. I learned that my local supplier, they only offer something in the 200 CF range. I want to maybe say 225 or 250 CF bottles as customer owned. So it must be got to be a have an industrial contract or whatever. So that's the biggest bottle, second to the biggest bottle I could get, and I didn't want a huge one just because loading them things in and out of the back of a truck by yourself can be a pain, especially where I'm at, because I don't have really concrete from where I can easily load it with my shop. My shop's out in the middle of the backyard area. So anyways, enough rambling. I'm going to go through kind of a quick run through of setting one of these torches up if you've never done it. We're going to talk about this torch a little bit. I already kind of got some, I don't know, it's alright if you're starting out, I guess, with TIG, but I pretty much after a few runs I switched to an old I forget what you like, a dry rig, I don't know what you want to call it, that hooks up to the stick side with a flexible head, just because I didn't like the lead length on the length of this torch. It's fine if I was at the bench, but I was welding here and I had the door open. I wanted to be welding over in there, right at the edge of the door, to get some good sunlight for seeing and everything. And it was just a little bit short. I mean, if I had a cart, it wouldn't be a big deal. But anyways, that's the only kind of complaint I got about this torch. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera on the tripod and kind of run through putting the collet and cup and all that stuff on. All right, we're all repositioned now. So here's kind of the pieces of the puzzle. We'll kind of run through these real quick before I start popping them in the torch. So we have here is a collet body. These are the longer ones. There's ones for the W. I'll put this is the W. I'll put the description up here. So I'm not used to running a dry rig. Normally run a water-cooled torch. The collets on those are a lot shorter on those, but this is what we're going to use for a dry rig here, that we're going to be running with the Harbor Freight Titanium 200. So this is our collet body. You can run a gas lens, which that's what I normally do, like I was saying, in a wet rig, which they're a lot shorter, but you can buy stubby ones that basically have this on there, and then the gas lens will be here. So and this is our collet. We're going to use 1/8 inch tungsten, which I prefer 332, but when I left the welding store, I thought I had a collet body that was 332, and come to find out I do not. So we will fix that. Well, today is Friday night, Monday. So we're gonna have to make do for the weekend in this video. So don't beat me up too bad in the comments. We're not using 100% proper stuff, but we're just gonna go through the motions. So I'm gonna tighten this down, just finger tight. You don't need to hulk out on it, okay? So we'll put a cup on, like so. And I will go figure out where I set my piece of tungsten down at. We have an 1/8 inch 332, 2% thoriated. We're gonna drop in here now. Only got one end sharpened right now. There is all kind of wonky. Put that in there. I'm gonna leave about 3/16 or so of a stick out there. This is our back cap. Get this on camera where you can actually see what's going on here. Back cap, and we're just gonna go ahead and screw that in there. Same thing, finger tight, don't need to hulk out on it. Okay, just snug it up. That's about right. So that's the, I'm using number 6 cup here. We'll go ahead and hook the regulator up to this. So the regulator is basically like built into this torch sleeve. Zoom out so you can see this. So it's all built in. This is all in one unit. We're gonna run DC electrode negative. So I'll plug this in the DC negative side, and our ground will be on the positive side. So let's swing over to the machine and get that hooked up. So I've already got the, I'm gonna unhook the stick lead because I was using the power block of that other TIG rig that I had set up, and our ground's already in the positive. So we'll go ahead and we will pop this in there. This is about like a quarter turn there, a little more, maybe 3/8 of a turn. So then we've got our regulator that'll run up to the bottle. Always make sure you got your bottle secured to whatever you're doing. Yeah, I will pop a video of the Mythbusters thing if you've never ever seen that in your life. It's quite interesting, where one of the bottles get sheared off and basically goes through a bunch of concrete walls. Also, the other thing about this torch, this thing, since it's so short, you can't really, you really can't get it anywhere where it's like supported very well, like unless you're at your bench, and it is rather heavy, and you can't, like, if you get like one wrap around your arm, you don't have much room. So if you guys are gonna use this for TIG, it's good for bench, and if you have a cart, you can get right up next to where you're gonna be at. But I don't know, I'd almost consider looking at getting one of those power block dryer rig setups, because it was working just fine for me, having that. I think that 25-foot whip on it, so that's pretty good. So I've got a piece of junk material over here. I know you guys are gonna probably beat me up in the comments over it. Just like an old plate that I found in a bucket I had from back when I was in welding school. I actually had to go up in my overhead storage facility up here and tear it down. I've got a bunch of steel on another outbuilding I could have went and grabbed, but as I said, it's like almost midnight here now, and my wife might not be happy if I start breaking out the grinder to clean this scale off it. So this was kind of quiet and under the radar, trying to get this done so I get this video put up for you guys and get it edited and everything. So we'll do a better demonstration of this sometime this week or this weekend. But I just kind of wanted to go through the rundown of this machine on the TIG side. So enough rambling on that. I am going to go ahead and turn this machine on now, which is kind of rather noisy, and somebody beat me up in the comments over that, so I'll probably turn it on and then I will come in and do a voiceover. Just so nobody beats me up over this, I'm gonna do the gas can. You probably seen one of the views. There ain't nothing in it, but we're still gonna do it just because you probably don't believe me. But it's well out of the way now. So we got the machine on. Flips it to the center setting. We're gonna weld this. I think this looks like an 1/8 inch piece of material. Like I said, I'm not used to running a dry rig, so, and I also don't have no foot pedal, which I haven't welded without a foot pedal for 10 years or so. So I'm used to normally setting my heat high and then just feathering it with the pedal. So it's gonna take a little bit to get used to actually know where my heat needs to be, because I don't ever know. I just put the dial somewhere and use my foot. So we're gonna try this and see how that goes. We are using kind of bigger stuff for what we have at hand. Like I've got a 332 rod, which I would prefer right now to have a 16th rod for what we're doing, and have that 332 tungsten. And the wire is 70RS2. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my chair, pan out, get the camera set in a better spot. I won't have any kind of fancy arc shots for you. If you guys got a good video or want to comment below of how they do those good shots like that, I am in the market for a camera here coming up soon, so I like to do a lot more welding, woodworking related videos and CNC stuff. So if you guys know how they do all that stuff, let me know, and I'd love to kind of get you guys in on the shots. So okay, so we got the bottle tightened down on the regulator, or regulator tightened down on the bottle. We got the gas flow set at probably about 18 or so. Machine set 118. 332 rod, 332 tungsten, 1/8 inch material. Like I said, I'd still like to have a small wire for this, just that's kind of what I'm more used to. So on these torches, you're going to have to manually open the gas before you start, let it run out, give it a couple seconds, kind of purge and kind of crud them on being there. And then I'm going to take it, and I'm going to touch it and pull up, when it's going to take off, and we'll roll across there and see what we get. So as you can see, this is our first TIG bead here. A little bit of smoke coming off it. I think this had some kind of oil, as I'm saying here. Lead out wasn't very good. I need to work on that snap and getting out of the bead. Still used to having that foot pedal just to kind of feather off my weld, so we'll get used to that. So here I kind of set up the machine, give a little more amperage, because I really didn't like what I was getting for results there. This wire definitely is oversized for what we're doing here. This is 332 rod, as I mentioned a little bit ago. 16th would probably be a little more ideal, and the tungsten size a little bit smaller, probably 332 as well. So I basically play around with the heat settings, giving a little more heat. I think toward the end I got there a little, kicked it up a little too high. I was starting to get some undercut, but that's me trying to feed the wire kind of more to the front edge of the puddle, not jam too much of it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up through that part of it, and we'll get to the end of the video here where I was finishing up welding. So here's our second bead. As you can see, I think I started out welding at the 118 amperage, and I bumped it up to 130-ish on the second bead. It was a little better, a little flatter profile, wasn't such raised up. I think drawing in a little bit of trash probably from the backside here, all kinds of rust and stuff. This material is definitely not ideally cleanly enough, but I used orbital sander to clean it up just because it was kind of the quieter method I had in the shop this late in the evening, trying not to wake up the family in the house. So here I bump up the average a little more. I think I went up to about 140. I'll go ahead and speed up through the weld shot here again, and we'll come back on the other side of this bead. So here's bead number 3. We ran this at 135, which I caught in the audio that I was talking over the machine. It's getting better. At 135 felt about right. I think if I would have went to 140 or 142 or so, that probably been about right. But I made a big jump right here to 150. Normally kind of get frustrated and then just go really high and then just back off a little bit till we get where we need to be. And that's alright when you're just kind of playing around, but you definitely need to be careful any kind of critical production work you happen to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut through all this last bit of welding here. I'm just going to skip to the end of the video where I kind of give my general thoughts on this Harbor Freight Titanium 200 unlimited multi-process machine. So as you can see, here's bead number 4. That heat settings felt about right. I'd probably back it off a hair because we're getting a little bit of undercut. So overall, this Harbor Freight 200 machine, it's a good little machine. It's definitely ideal if you're just doing light fabrication work. I would recommend, if you are going to do a lot of TIG, maybe look at using a power block with the stick side, just because you have a little bit, the torch is a little bit better with those. You can have more flexibility. In just my opinion, but if you're going to sit at a bench and just tinker around, it's definitely ideal for that. This machine's definitely going to get you welding at a great price point. I think $6.99, normally catch it on sale for $6.29 sometimes. Would not hesitate to buy it for all the prices. We basically tried them all except the MIG. I'm sure that's probably just about the same as the flux-core. Just, using the same drive wheels and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna get some better material. I am probably gonna switch to the my power block setup, just because it has a longer lead, and I did mention that the lead cable is kind of heavy on this one. You don't have it supported, and we're gonna do some off the bench welding. So if you like this video, be sure to go ahead and subscribe. We're gonna pump a lot more welding, fabrication, woodworking, and CNC router videos. So I'm gonna really hit this channel hard in 2020. So if you're into them kind of things, be sure to subscribe and give me some feedback below, especially on getting some good arc shots for you guys. So, alright, Happy New Year, guys.